Hello guys! Today I'm going to show you a board game that everyone has been waiting for, or at least many of you have. The publisher Phalanx asked me to prepare a video in which I will explain you how to play Lords of Heaven based on the prototype of this board game that they provided. So let's get started. The board game Lords of Heaven takes us to the Holy Land, where 4 factions will battle each other for influence and control. The gameplay of this board game is divided into 2 parts, 2 crusades. Each crusade consists of 6 to 8 rounds, depending on when you draw the last round cards, which is shuffled into the last 3 cards of the round deck. After the first crusade ends, players receive 1 victory point for each of their presence token in a city. Leave all tokens on the map and location cards for the next crusade, but remove all played action cards from the columns at the bottom of the main board. Then add 2 new location cards to the map, Damascus and Aleppo. And now the second crusade begins. After the second crusade ends, players will receive 1 victory point for each city control token they have. Additionally, they will get 1 victory point for every 3 church or mosques they have built. The same applies for 3 fortresses and 3 citadels. The player with the most victory points wins the game. But before starting the game, players perform a card draft, after which each player must have 3 chosen action cards and 1 bluff card assigned to each faction in their hand. The bluff card can never be played to perform an action. It's always in the player's hand. You can play it during a conflict to trick your opponent. In this board game, you can play as the Byzantine Empire, the Crusaders, the Great Seljuks, or the Fatimid Caliphate. Each faction starts the game with asymmetric settings, they have presence in different cities on the map and receive a different mix of starting unit tokens, gold tokens and fate tokens. Although historically the conflict is between 2 sides, Christians and Muslims, but during the game any faction can stand against each other and can also be allies during conflicts. Okay, now let's get to heart of the game, which is the actions. You can play action cards in 2 ways. To perform the action indicated by the card by placing it on the main board, or by playing a card during the resolution of a conflict. I should mention that in the first crusade you can trigger 1 conflict per round, but in the second crusade you can trigger 2 conflicts per round. So, if you want to play an action card to perform one of the available actions, you must place it in the appropriate column on the main board. Here you have 4 options: development action, presence action, movement action, and income action. If you perform a development or presence action, you must pay its cost. The cost is indicated on the player card in the bottom right corner. Additionally, if you place your card on the top of the others already in that column, you must add up the cost of all the cards present there. Furthermore, if you perform a development or presence action and the faction symbol on the played card match your faction, you can also trigger the effect of that card. Some cards have split symbols of 2 factions, which means that any of those factions can trigger the card's effect when playing it. Some cards have universal symbols, meaning they can be used by any faction. Now back to the action. If you play a movement or income action, instead of paying the cost of such actions, you receive a reward. The reward is determined by the symbols visible in the top right corner of the card and all the visible symbols from the cards lying beneath the one you just played. Therefore, for those 2 types of action, it's more beneficial to play cards later, as you can gain more benefits. Also, remember that for movement and income actions, you never trigger the effect of the played card, even if its symbol matches your faction. Okay, so now I will explain you each of 4 types of actions in more detail. Let's start with development. This action allows you to build one of the 3 types of buildings. To perform it, you take a token of the selected building from your board and place it on the map. Each type of building has different requirements and provides different effects. Christians can build church by placing them in regions. Muslims will build mosques in a similar manner. Both types of these buildings function identically. They will provide you victory points at the end of the game. Additionally, by taking a building from the player's board, you increase the level of the associate attribute. For example, citadels can only be built in cities, which are on the left side on the location card. Building them will increase your strength during city sieges, which I will explain in more detail shortly. Fortresses are placed between locations on the map. Taking this building token from your board increases your army strength in this case. Each building can be placed on the map if you met certain conditions. You can place a church or mosque on a location card if you have your present token in that region. You can build a fortress only if you have a present token of any site in an adjacent location. However, a citadel can only be built when you control the city, meaning your present token has reached the last column and you have collected the control token from there. The next action is presence. This involves placing your presence token with either a flag or crown side up on location cards. You can place your present token with the crown side up in any location, provided that you already have a control token on the adjacent location card. If you met this condition, you must pay the cost in gold depending on the level at which you want to place your control token. As part of the presence action, you can also increase your level of influence. Importantly, only one present token can be placed in a single column in a city, so for example, by increasing your influence, you can lower an opponent's token or even remove it from the city altogether. By performing the present action, you can also provide support. In this case, you place a present token with the flag side up, always placing in the region, on the right side of the location card. You can do this if you have a crown token in a city on that card. Movement is the next type of action. With this action, you can move any number of your units, paying gold to move them to adjacent locations. After completing the movement, if your present token is on the same location as tokens your opponents, a conflict must be resolved. In Lords of Heaven, there are 2 types of conflicts: battles and sieges. A battle occurs when your influence tokens ends up in a region with at least one such token from your opponent. At that point, you can move one of your tokens from adjacent location if you have a support there. You can also form alliances. This involves asking another players, of course not the one attacking you, to support you in battle with their units if they have them in the region or adjacent on the ongoing battle. An ally can move up to 1 support token from adjacent locations. After that, the attacking and defending players simultaneously play 1 action card and secretly choose how many units and fate tokens they want to commit to this conflict from those behind their screens. Finally, they reveal the played cards and the commit tokens. For the battle, you can deploy soldiers, each providing 1 strength symbol, or powerful knight, each providing 3 strength. As for the played card, during combat, you resolve the effects from the bottom bar. They can be strength symbols, wounds, or special actions such as allowing you to play another card. In the next step, each side of the conflict rolls battle dice equal to the number of present tokens with a flag they have. And now, for each sword symbol rolled, the player adds strength to the total result. The wound symbol on the dice means that the opponent will have to assign it to their units, killing them and removing them. When there are more wounds than units, the player must remove the flag tokens from that region. If any of the player's units survive the battle, they can return to their resources, behind the screen, if that player pays 1 gold for each such unit. And finally, most importantly, the points earned from the battle. The battle winners takes the highest reward, which is 3 victory points. But each player involved in this conflict receives 1 victory point. Allies of the winner can also count of an extra 1 victory point. Therefore, it's worth fighting in this board game, especially on the winning side. Now a few words about the sieges, that is the second type of conflict in this board game. You can besiege a city, never a region. The progression of this conflict is very similar at the battle in a region. You can ask your support from other players if they have their flags in the region on the same location card. But the fighting players and their allies cannot move units from adjacent regions, as was the case in battles in regions. During the city sieges, siege and genius can be used, providing 2 strength, but they cannot be used in battle in regions. Players play 1 action card each, secretly select units and fate tokens, and roll dice depending on the number of flags they have in the location where the siege is taking place. And after calculating strength and assigned wounds, victory points are distributed. So all players who were involved in this siege receives 1 victory point. If the defending player wins, they move their influence token up by 1 level. If this results in controlling the city, they receive an additionally 1 victory point. But if the attacking player wins, they choose one of 2 options. Either remove the defender's influence token from the city and place their influence token at the highest level in the city, thus taking control of this city. Or the winner removes all players' tokens from the city, also removing the citadel building, and takes as many gold as indicated by the value next to the fire symbol. This city has been burned and looted by the invader. The last of the 4 actions is income. By playing a card in the 4th column on the main board, you collect income in the form of combination of visible bonuses from the cards played in this column and the gold value of all your crown tokens in cities. Dear viewers, there are all the rules you need to know to play Lords of Heaven. But remember, in this recording, I presented to you the rules of this board game on a prototype, so please keep in mind that the appearance and quality of the components may still change. You can follow the progress and development of this project on the campaign page. I will leave you the link in the description below. Now, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, it will be awesome if you leave a like, and see you in next time. Bye bye!